Hi, my name is Natalie Poole, Division I rep for the NFCA, as well as head coach for the University of Memphis. Just want to give you an update on our Division I caucus meeting that we had this morning at the National Convention. We had an opportunity to accept some bylaws that our NFCA has been working on with our legal counsel, Sam Ekstrand. So we went through the process of either accepting those or denying those proposals that have been made. In addition to that, we also got an opportunity to hear from Dave King, who oversaw the first NISC event last year and just talked about the changes that will be forthcoming this upcoming year as well. In addition to that, Jenny Allard from Harvard University got up and gave an opportunity for us to hear about the softball committee, the NCAA softball committee, and the steps that they take, the things that they've been working on, the changes that they've been making as well. In addition to that, we started in on talking through some of our proposals, our legislative proposal cycle system, as well as what has been proposed through the legislative system. Jody Sykes from the University of Oregon, as well as Mo Hardy from the NCAA, gave us an opportunity to see some insight to how the legislative cycle worked, as well as the proposals that directly affect softball. A few of those impact us in a great way and led into our conversation for our hot topics. The only hot topic that we covered today was regarding the early recruiting process. Tomorrow we will cover scholarship increase, we will cover instant review, as well as adding a fourth paid coach. When we discuss the early recruiting process, there is proposed legislation already in this cycle that is from the Student Athlete Experience Committee with the NCAA that addresses the early recruiting process that will change the dates for official visits, unofficial visits, the opportunity for complimentary tickets, may change transportation, who covers transportation in official visits for family members or legal guardians for those prospective student athletes. We took a straw vote to get a general feel for whether or not we as a group, for those members who are present, support or not support that particular proposal. In addition to that, we also talked about the lacrosse proposal, the lacrosse legislation that's already in play that deals with the early recruiting process and has a set date, one established date where they allow all communication to take place for unofficial visits, as well as emails, phone calls, and all of that. So we also took a straw vote on that as well. We spent some time exploring in small groups. We sat within regions and talked through some of the ideas that we had, whether it's modifications of some of that legislation that has been proposed, as well as the legislation that already exists, and just worked our way through some of that and was able to give feedback on that. And now as we move forward, we will go back to the table. We will have surveys sent out to our membership to where they can go in and address the things that they like, their own particular beliefs about what they support, so that we can make some strides with the early recruiting process, which it appears everyone is passionate about. It was a really great conversation. The conversation lasted at least an hour and a half, and I think we made some headway, and we definitely had some great views shared in the room. As we move forward tomorrow, we definitely have some other topics, and we look forward to those. Okay, so day 2 at the Division I caucus was a little bit of a continuation of some hot topics that we had on our agenda. We picked up and immediately talked about transitioning our volunteer coach position to a fourth paid coach, where they would be able to have the same abilities as a normal paid coach currently as accountable coach right now that we have in Division I. So we talked about that, took a vote on it, saw some really good support for that opportunity. In addition to that, we also spoke about the addition of 2 scholarships to move from 12 full scholarships to 14. To stay as equivalency, but to work on that. So we had good discussion on that as well, took a vote, saw quite a bit of support for that as well. So it was a nice conversation, very productive conversation early this morning. We closed and wrapped a little bit with the talk of instant review that is coming about in our sport, and the fact that NFCA, the NCAA, and ESPN are involved in that, and how that's going to come about, what we would like to instant review. As we move forward, there'll be some working groups that'll kind of get into that particular topic, and the hope is that over the next year or so that they do something experimentally with it, but it's going to take a little bit of research. So we had some great conversation this morning, very productive movement. Had an opportunity to hear some people stand up and speak and share. Bev Smith from the SEC stood up and shared about the fourth paid coach and the implications of that, and then Kate Drohan stood up and spoke about the increase of scholarships. We really appreciate all the information that was shared, everybody that inputted their feedback in their small groups as well as from the front of the room, and we appreciate the interest and being a part of our caucus this morning.